This episode of the Restoration Today podcast is brought to you by Surety. Surety is the third-party fund control company founded by those who understand the entire restoration industry, especially the paying contractor's experience just trying to get paid. Surety establishes payment rails from insurance carriers to restoration contractors, protecting property owners and every party from risk using 3D geospatial scan technology. If you want to reduce your debt, free up your admin staff, and improve the experience of your clients, book a demo with Surety today. Hey there, thanks for checking out a bonus episode of the Restoration Today podcast. We are recording at the Collective by Core. We're actually doing this a second time because we just did it once, almost all the way through, and I didn't hit record. So these gentlemen get to do it again. Their answers will be even better this time, I am sure. So I am joined by Justin Sifford and Alex Puertas. They are both from Wylander. We're going to be talking about sales in the restoration industry. They started a remote sales management program, but they both have backgrounds in sales and really understand restoration sales and services, all of that. So we're going to really dive into what it takes to be successful with restoration sales. So Justin, let's start by having you introduce yourself.
Thank you, Michelle. And I want to, it's awesome to be here with you. I love where you've taken C&R Magazine and super proud of you. And it's a privilege to be on your podcast. So thanks for the opportunity. Of course. Sure. Well, thanks. No problem. Happy to do it. So my background in the industry goes back about 20 years ago. I owned a flooring company in Dallas, Fort Worth, and met a gentleman who his parents owned, or his father owned, a restoration company. We were the same age. I said, "Hey, who's doing your flooring?" And he's like, "I don't know." And I was like, "Give me a shot. I'd like to talk to whoever I need to about doing your flooring." So I went in, had a meeting, and they gave me a shot. And that was my introduction. It was Dalworth Restoration down in DFW. Great company. Oh yeah, there he goes. Field Hero of the Year, Kurt Smith. Yeah, that's awesome. So, I was working with those project managers often and developed a good rapport with them. They trusted me. I performed, right? And that was my introduction into the restoration industry. I learned Xactimate, I learned ITEL and the struggles they were having on jobs. So fast forward, I became a consultant for the flooring industry we had exclusive with CCA Global, and would fly around the United States and Canada and work with clients and do process improvement and sales management. Another restoration group approached our company and said, "Hey, we'd like you to come in and do some light consulting with our members." And so we did that, and we identified that there was a hiring need. There was a struggle that these owners had, that they didn't necessarily have the skill set to interview or the time to find people. And so that's when we started a recruiting company. So here we are today. Recruiting is 10 years old now. Wylander is about 10 years old. And we started a remote sales management group, or I should say program, about a year ago. And it's been great. And I've got Alex with me. He's the program director, and really fortunate to have him. But 20 years in the industry, kind of started at the bottom. Now we're here.
Yeah, I can relate to that. So I spent the first 20 years of my career in the Fortune 1000 space, worked for a couple of large companies, first telecommunications, then information management, and then in the legal services kind of arena. Once I'd sort of reached the goal that I'd set for myself there, trying to figure out what else I wanted to do, and an opportunity presented itself for me to become president of a restoration company in DC. So I took that challenge on about 6 years ago. Had an amazing run. We went from 700,000 to about $10 million in revenue. And, everything was going great until the family decided it was time to move back to Florida. So we moved back about a year ago, and I had gotten to know Wylander because they were doing the recruiting for me in DC. And Justin pitched this idea to me of this remote sales management program, and I fell in love with it. To be honest, I just thought it's a great idea, and it's right up my alley. Most of my career, I was leading sales teams. So I thought, if you would accept me, I'll come on board and we'll see if we can grow this program. And we've been doing that for the last year.
So what do you two see as the biggest pain point in restoration sales today? Things have changed a lot over the last few years. So what is a big pain point that you're seeing right now that a lot of companies are trying to solve when it comes to sales?
I would say it's getting dollars through the door as it would relate to salespeople, right? A lot of companies aren't tracking sales efforts. They aren't tracking sales dollars, a business that comes in through sales effort. So, they'll spend, whatever on a salary for a salesperson, but they're not really sure what their return is. That's definitely a pain point. It's something that we identify early on in the process and start to put systems and processes in place to capture that. Another pain point is holding salespeople accountable. Many times throughout yeah. We've often heard owners say, well, I've got a salesperson. They're really nice. They've been with me for 5 years and they bring in probably 100,000 a year. And I'm like, where's your return on investment? Why are we holding on? So those are the conversations we have and help them realize there's a better way.
One of the things that I've seen, and I agree with those, I'd say the third one for me that from my experience is kind of creativity in the sales process. So what happens to a lot of sales owners is they get good at one niche and then all their business comes in that way. Maybe it's plumbers, right? And then all you do for 10 years is plumbing work. And so learning how to be creative and stepping outside of that, having the ability to go after different industries is a challenge. And if you don't know how to do it, you haven't done it before, it's kind of a hard obstacle to overcome. So that's one of the ones I would say I've seen.
Okay. So how have you seen also the sales process change in the last, say, 3 to 5 years with the pandemic in the middle and technology is moving so fast? Our industry is a little behind typically on adopting technology, right? So I know that you've mentioned maybe they're not putting all the notes in the CRM and anyway, all of that. So what are some of the changes that you've seen in the sales process in general in the last 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, I think it's adoption of technology into restoration companies. Pretty much everyone today is using some form of software to run their restoration company. I haven't heard of pen and paper in a while. I'm sure there's still someone out there, but most everyone's on some sort of software. However, that doesn't mean they're on a sales software or that their software incorporates a CRM, right? We are seeing, clients adopting that. So we're slow to adopt technology. That's just our industry. We're a blue collar industry. And we're seeing more people use CRMs. We're seeing more people start to trust that data. But, with that comes the growth pains of people learning that software and saying, oh, we did 6 months of this wrong, right? So the data's no good. So I think just in the past 3 to 5 years, it's been the software piece that these people are learning to use and adapt.
Agreed. The only thing I would add is kind of full adoption of the software, right? So we do see more and more owners using software now, but they're using 5% or 10% of what it has the capacity to do. And it's the same idea. We get comfortable doing this and we keep doing the same thing. And so learning how to kind of expand that and getting a little uncomfortable, right? To be able to add new features, functions that the CRM has from a capacity standpoint is one of the other issues or changes that we see. Yeah.
Okay, so for restoration companies that are maybe working on growing their sales department, there is a difference between a sales manager and a sales rep. And I think sometimes that line gets blurred and it's confusing and people will come to Wylander and say, I want to hire a sales manager. Well, is that what you really mean? Are you actually, so can you explain the difference between a manager and a sales rep and what their roles are?
Sure. And you brought up a good point. Someone comes to Wylander and says, hey, I heard you guys hire sales managers or salespeople. Will you find me one? So before we even say yes, we kind of do an exploratory, do you need one? Tell me what's going on. Tell me learn about your business, why you feel you need this person. So we want to make sure that you really need a sales manager. If you're doing $1 million a year in business, first of all, you can't afford a sales manager, right? Typically, we're seeing a full-time sales manager with a company doing $5 to $7 million, provided they're hitting their margins and they're in those benchmarks. But as far as to answer your question, what is a sales rep versus a sales manager? A sales rep is a totally different skill set than a sales manager. And one of the horror stories that we hear all the time is people or owners promoting their salespeople to sales managers. Totally different skill set. It's kind of like your CFO versus your bookkeeper. One's a historian and the other's a librarian. Your salesperson is got to be, in our industry, a genuine person, have interest in their client, because we're a service-based client industry. So we don't have a product that we can sell today, but the salesperson has to have the hunt, right? To go out and kill it every day. Those kills it's our appointments, right? But they've got to be quality appointments, right? Not just quantity. So sales rep, in my opinion, in our industry is definitely someone who's genuine, has an interest in their business, their client's business, looking to provide value. Maybe it's related to our industry, maybe it's not. Once you develop that trust in capital words or letters, once you develop that trust, it's a lot easier to sell, and they're going to remember you.
Also, in addition to that, I would say, a sales rep. So I guess I would say it's based on what gives you energy, right? A hunter gets energy from being in the field, from meeting new people every day, from uncovering those challenges, overcoming objections, closing the deal. That brings them energy. A manager gets energy from coaching and developing people. And so I think of one as a hunter and the other one as a farmer, right? So a manager needs to have a long-term view, needs to be investing now for tomorrow. A hunter is thinking, whatever I kill today, I'm going to eat it today. So it's a little bit of a difference in motivation.
I'm about to make them move. Rob. Oh, he's not going to listen. I'm sorry. You're all loud. You're all loud.
Podcast. We're live.
No, it's really fun. Just every once in a while, I'm like, it's very loud. It's very loud. I know. I wouldn't do that if I didn't know the person. Obviously, I would not. Okay. All right. So really quick, farmers, hunters, where do they fall in the DISC spectrum? Where do they fall?
Yeah. So as you know, the reason you bring up DISC, we use it for every candidate we hire. I'm a certified DISC consultant, really enjoy DISC. I've been using it for a long time before I was a consultant in my flooring business. So the truthful answer is a salesperson can fall in any spectrum, right? We tell our clients all the time that DISC is just part of the equation, should never be a hiring decision. I will say that oftentimes salespeople fall in the DI category. Someone who wants to go out, someone who likes to look good. They like to talk. They're not afraid to talk. Those fearless people. However, I've seen rock stars that are S personality, an introvert, right? It's because they're so genuine, right? And in our industry, we're selling a service that we've got to perform. So these prospects have to believe what we're gonna say and do, right? So those S personalities naturally can convey that story. Where the D&I, it's all about me and how I'm gonna help you. We're awesome. This is how we're gonna help you. So that's a struggle they have. Yeah.
Understand DI. Anyway, yeah. Okay, so where did the idea of a remote sales management program come from? How did it tie into Wylander? Like, you had to have seen a pain point there where you're like, this is needed in the industry. So what did you see? Where did it come from?
Yeah. So this idea came about 10 years ago, about 10 years ago. And we just didn't feel that it would be adopted, right? How are you going to talk to my salespeople once a week and you're in Florida or you're in California, my salespeople are in Nebraska or whatever? Well, COVID finally springboarded that because we had to use Zoom. We had to use Ring Central. We had to use what other voice or video recording device to have meetings, right? And so people started to realize, oh, I can conduct business this way. And so that's when we decided, okay, there's the need. We've identified the need a long time ago. Let's go out and help these individuals by offering this service.
Okay, so Alex, as you've been bringing in more clients and working with more companies, what are some of the areas where you've seen restoration companies almost need the most help with developing their sales reps? Sorry. What is the area that you've seen restoration companies need the most help in developing their sales team?
I would say, generally speaking, having a well-rounded program, so most owners know how to sell. That's how they built their business in the first place. But it's, they have a certain approach that they take, and a lot of it is relationship based, which is great, but it's a narrow net. It's not a really wide net. So helping to build a fully, well-rounded sales program that has a wide net, that goes after multiple industries, multiple contact types, that is sustainable and repeatable, that incorporates things like referrals, incorporates the internet, incorporates, internet marketing, all of those things. That's probably the biggest need.
So how does remote sales management work? How does it work to have somebody maybe in the Florida Keys helping somebody in Washington State manage their sales team? What does that process look like?
So the beauty of technology is the fact that it brings us closer, right? So the way that we do it, and by the way, I will say that it is an option if the client decides for us to come in person. So there's times where we did go in person, and we did like the first week onboarding face to face. And so we can do that. I can travel pretty easily. I've spent a lot of time traveling, but the typical situation, we give the owner of the company kind of a checklist of all the things that they need to be thinking about to prepare for the sales rep coming in. And then day one, they literally have an hour by hour schedule of what they need to do to do a really great onboarding. We're a part of that, but we're not the only part of that. So in the first week, we do what we call boot camp, and we spend 2 hours a day, every day for that first week with the sales rep. We cover everything from sales 101, industry 101. We help them build a marketing plan. We help them basically know who they're going after, what they're going to say, how they're going to do it. So from there, they really are able to start, the next week really at a good pace. They're no longer walking, they're jogging, I would say.
What is both of your views of insurance agents? Is that somebody we're is that something that we're still going after? Is that a good target? Yes. So is our insurance agents still a good market? Are we still knocking on doors? And what are we doing instead of bringing donuts to their offices?
So if you want more program work, then you should go after agents, right? But you don't have to go after agents because you can just go direct to the program, right? So agents may be successful in certain climates, certain types of clients, certain industry, not industry, but certain business segments of our industry. For the most part, we're not seeing people that go after agents. Not that they should be ignored. You have to have the relationship with that agent, mostly the adjuster, right? Which is going to fall on the estimator side usually. But agents, yeah, not so much a focus for a lot of our clients anymore. Still can be a piece, but not a huge focus.
So what is the focus?
Sure. So, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Right. I mean, I think plumbers are always going to be on the list, right? So it's a really good place to start. I actually had a meeting just 30 minutes ago with a client, and we were talking about this exact strategy. So what we're going to do is have a short-term strategy, midterm strategy, and long-term strategy. And then we're dividing the time up in time segments where the long-term strategy only gets about 10%. The midterm strategy maybe gets 30% of the rep's time. The bulk of it is the short-term. Short-term is interactions with plumbers to get the referral work. The midterm might be things like going after a property manager, right? And people that in industries that have events more often, right? Long-term might be like municipal contacts, government contacts, something that's going to take years to build, but when it comes through might be a really nice size opportunity. So that's the way we think about it. And I would say what those verticals are is different, to the company, to the area. We always try to start with people we know. We call it circle of influence. So write down the 50 people you know, and then we'll make some connections to see where we should start. Does that make sense?
I'll just add, if you're located in Hilton Head, North Carolina, or the Florida Keys, or San Diego, California, if you're in a high tourist area, property managers who focus on VRBOs should be a big list of yours, right? Because remember, there's property managers who manage apartments, who manage hotels or whatever, but there are also property managers who manage VRBOs. And there's a lot of turnover every week. There's air conditioner leaks, there's toilet leaks, there's all these types of things that a restoration service could provide. So to say that you should focus on that type of property manager in Dallas-Fort Worth, well, maybe if you're around Arlington, because people are going to the parks there, right? So yeah, it really will depend on the area that they're in.
That's a really good point. Okay, anything that we haven't touched on that you guys want to talk about related to sales or restoration or anything? Closing comments.
So I would just say, part of the sales process is developing that salesperson, right? So many owners hire a salesperson and expect them to, just be amazing week one. There's so much to learn in our industry. Part of our onboarding process is writing with technicians, writing with a project manager, writing with an estimator, spending some time in the accounting department, right? Making sure that they're familiar with how the paperwork flows into accounting. They're never going to be in accounting, but they need to develop the rapport. They need to see how the company functions, right? Those are all things that add to a successful onboarding. These soft skills that are so important in our industry, these salespeople lack. Technicians oftentimes lack them as well, right? Soft skills on a scale of 1 to 10 or 10, right? So soft skills, coaching your salespeople, always supporting them. Sales is difficult. You get told no all the time. So I would say not just the numbers piece of sales management, that's very important, but all the other soft skill pieces, right, if you will, are hugely important as well.
Yeah, the only thing I would add is, we have the remote sales management program. That's sort of like our tier 3. Tier 1, we have an offering where we can do like topic-based training sessions. So 2 to 4 hours, you can get to know us, get to know the process. We've got a number of topics that we can, we would share with the client, and we can do it that way. We can do another one where it's like a once a month engagement. We'll do a training topic and have a call with the owner or sales manager, or whoever the case might be, to review process, review what they're doing, review the pipeline, and just help them out that way. And then the tier 3 is the full engagement, where we literally become a part of your team. We become your sales manager. We're involved in your team meetings. We host sales meetings. We host meetings with the owners. We do annual reporting sessions. I mean, it's a full engagement. And so, we'd encourage anybody that's interested to reach out.
Alex and Justin, thank you very much. Thank you for doing it twice. You did just as well, maybe better the second time around. I look forward to seeing you again soon.
For more Restoration Today, visit our website, cnrmagazine.com, or find us wherever you get your favorite podcasts.